And, you know, from our perspective, from Mantle, where we do a lot of reporting on, for example, you know, cash flow forecasting, then for us, it's a dream if we come across a company that's using a proper purchase to pay system, because as soon as they've registered the purchase order as a commitment in the system, then we can start using that in a report that will show a forecasted cash flow. You know, what are the commitments that are coming up?
So as soon as you make a purchase, the reports should be updated.
Yeah,
they need,
exactly.
It needs to show in liquidity reports. It needs to show in every forecast. It needs to be in the system.
Yeah.
And if you get your paper 2 weeks after it should have been paid, because of the delays that's out there, you will always be behind. You will never know your cash flow. You will never know what kind of liquidity you can expect in the future.
But what do you think the biggest reasons are for people not just adopting this now? You know, what is it that's preventing them just doing it?
Change. People don't like change.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a big thing, and of course it's when we need our accounting officers to bring this out, we need the accounting industry to do it for us, because the customer, there's very few customers, at least right now, that will go to their accounting office and say, we need you to automate our processes.
Right. Yeah.
So accounting office needs to be the guiders for their clients. They need to tell the clients how to do this process.
Right.
And one of the big issues is if they lose their 10 minutes of billable hours.
Yeah.
So they need to change the way they think around how they make their money, and not just bill hours. They have to think differently on their customer relationship.
Sure. No, that's a really good point. A really good point. And going back to the issue that you mentioned about change, I've seen that firsthand as well, because also what's happening, if you're putting the onus or the obligation on the person that's going to make the order to actually register the order in the system, it means they need to do a little bit more work. And I've been involved in, you know, several projects where we've tried to implement that kind of methodology, and it sometimes works because they get the benefit and the big picture and why they should be doing it. What I've seen as well is many people just neglecting to do it because it's an extra few minutes, you know, when they're placing the order to put it into the system, where before they've just been able to ring up the supplier and say, can you send me this? Now they actually have to register it. So I've seen that people just creep back and default back to the old ways, you know, and it's very difficult to get them to change, you know, how they do things when they've been doing something the same for 20, you know, or 15 years or 10 years or however long they've been doing it. So change is hard, you know, even if it's for the good of the whole, for the individual person, they've really got to feel the, you know, what's in it for me thing. And that's sometimes difficult when you're talking about administrative routines.
Yes, that's very true. And we also have, but what we need to do is actually tell them that it's going to be, they're the ones who needs to approve the invoice in the end.
Yeah, they don't register the order. Yeah.
So the time consumption is going to be basically the same.
Yeah.
If you have to register the order, do you put in a phone call, or you register in a system?
Yeah.
You can have the order confirmation sent electronically into your own system,
right.
So that when you receives it electronically, it creates the order in your system.
Yeah.
So if you have a supplier that actually send you what you need afterwards, it could be created directly in the system without even the person who orders makes the purchase needs to punch it. So so basically we just need to get our accounting offices and their clients, meet up with their clients, talk to them, and tell them that this won't take you more time. It's just going to be a little bit different. And again, it's change, and everything was better before. We have heard that many times, but it's those who have adopted our way of doing it are seeing very good results on their time expenditure, and how much the purchase to pay process actually costs the company. Because when you can get that down to from the entire process, not just the invoicing, can get that down from hours to minutes, it's a massive difference.
Exactly. Yeah. Over the course of a year, especially, you know. And you reminded me when we were talking just now that not only are you looking at potentially a more speedy process and a less costly process, but if the ordering or if the supplier, for example, is able to send an electronic copy of the order back, which can go into the economy system, you're going to get potentially a lot more detail as well, especially where you're looking at companies that have very high turnover of goods. You know, they're ordering a lot of stock or you know, and they want to do some very precise cost of goods calculations, then it's very good for them to see line for line for line, you know, what they've ordered and the cost of those goods, rather than eventually receiving a purchase invoice and just booking one line into the system, because it's too time consuming to manually, for example, type in 5 A4 pages of information. So all in all, making things electronic and automated is just a win all round, really, albeit, you know, you've got to get through that mindset of change.